Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We'll be talking about the committee, of course, that the Prime Minister has formed as part of the consultative process over the caretaker setup. What kind of consultation can we expect? Of course, it's, as far as the PDM is concerned, it itself is an amalgamation of a huge number of parties. How is that going to work out? We'll also be talking about, of course, the recent price hikes that we've seen in the background of the coming elections, and of course with by and large people and overall committed to ensuring that, that we are on the right path as far as economy is concerned. We'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about the consultation between the opposition and government, which is part of which is the legal process as far as the caretaker setup is concerned. How does that expect to happen? How does the PML-N expect that to happen as far as the election mode is concerned? With the former Prime Minister returning, as far as the party is concerned, what are the reports further to that? All of that today on Perspective. I have with me Barrister Safiullah Ghauri, who is a political analyst. Thank you for being with us today. We also have with us Qaiser Ahmad, who is Special Assistant to Prime Minister from the PML-N. Thank you for joining us today. And we have with us Rashid from the PPP. Thank you for being with us today. Ji, Safiullah, like I said, you know, as far as the consultative process is concerned, it's itself, PDM is comprised of more than 11 parties, and it seems that that itself is going to take a lot of consultation, so to speak. How do you expect the caretaker? There have been a lot of rumors, different names, of course, have also been thrown around, but nothing seems certain at this time. How do you expect that to pan out?
I think the PML-N has put forward a reasonable way of going about it. They have made a committee of 5 senior members: Ehsan Iqbal, Khwaja Asif, Saad Rafiq, 2 more. I can't remember their names off the top of my Ishaq Dar and one more. Yes, yes. So they've made a senior committee.
Khwaja Saad Rafiq and
Ayaz Sadiq, yes, that's the one I was missing. And they've asked all other parties to also make senior committees, so that these senior committees could then have consultation and with due care and consultation appoint a caretaker government, because there seems to be no other way. But I would like to state here that we can be looking at possibly other alternatives. Okay. One of the things that I want to point out here is that whereas the Constitution of Pakistan does envisage the formation of a caretaker government, the purpose of the caretaker government is simply to ensure that the upcoming elections are done transparently. And this is why I want to bring your attention to the case of India, where there is no caretaker government, where the ruling government just hands over to the next government right after the elections.
But this is part of our law, is it not?
It is part of our law. But I'm just saying that, you know, this is something that the ECP could argue, and why I'm bringing in the ECP right now at this stage is because in case there is no agreement, what do we do then? And that's the process I'm trying to get into. The fact that every time there needs to be some sort of an agreement and consensus on what the caretaker government is sometimes appears to be a very difficult process. Instead, what happens in India is, because they realize that consensus is difficult to come at, what they do is the Election Commission of India, before the elections, 3 months before the elections, just takes over all powers of transfer postings, of appointments, so that they ensure that the government is toothless and cannot do anything. And in the same manner, the present government could just surrender its powers to the Election Commission.
But we would need an amendment.
Of course, not at all. Once again, I'm not suggesting that this is something that we can do. I just want to suggest that if there is a deadlock, this is a possibility that ought to be considered.
Right. Let me come back to you. Ji, Qaiser Sahab, as far as the PML-N is concerned, even today, you know, of course, as far as the election mode is concerned, on the one hand, we've had statements from your party, and the Prime Minister has also said that we've seen the public is committed to ensuring that and is standing by the government in coming back to the road to recovery as far as economy is concerned. But do you think there's going to be a fallout as far as in the elections of these decisions at all? Ji, Qaiser Sahab, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but not very clear. Yes.
Background. Please try again. No, I think, Qaiser Sahab, there is, of course, we've seen as far as the price hike today, even as far as electricity is concerned. Do you think there's going to be a fallout in the elections, even though at this time the Prime Minister and your party are saying that the people are standing by the government because they realize that the last government has made certain decisions and therefore we are where we are?
Mahrukh, I am trying to understand your point because I am not clearly hearing you. As far as I listen.
I think they're going to connect again. Safiullah, like I said, of course, one of the challenges that we are looking at as far as this, government is concerned has always, has been economy. And of course, that takes us back to the last government, certain decisions that have, invariably led to where we are. And the Prime Minister has been quite frank about it. The economic team has said that again and again. But do you think there'll be a fallout in the elections?
Mahrukh, I obviously, it's impossible to think that there would be no fallout. The people have experienced unprecedented inflation and that is going to take a toll. I do, however, empathize with the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, who said that the performance of PML-Nawaz ought to be seen based on its previous performances and not just this performance. The reason, of course, being that they inherited a lot of problems from the previous government and those problems are still continuing. And I find it hilarious to think that this is now the primary narrative that PTI has taken. If you recollect, a few days ago, former chairman PTI went on Twitter and said that on Friday he will have, expose something dramatic that nobody's ever heard of before. And I was very curious. Normally I don't listen to his speeches, but I decided that since he promised something so exciting and he said that something much more interesting than even the best drama series, so I logged in and I started watching his speech. And once again, not to be surprised, it was the same old 22-year-old speech that we have been listening to time and again, once again, about how he and his economic performance was the best ever and how this present government has failed. And it was very obvious that if he is telling everyone that this is going to be his primary thrust, we know that PTI's primary thrust is going to be the economic performance, and that will be brought up no matter what.
Let me go to Ali. Ali, can you hear me? Ali, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Ali, again, you are very much part of the government. The PPP is very much part of the government. Do you think there's going to be a fallout? Because, of course, there is the pinch is being felt by the people. And, of course, as far as the narrative of the government is concerned, again, it's quite clear that it's coming from the decisions of the last government. Do you think your voters understand this?
I do understand that the voters have been affected, and the inflation and the challenges that we face and we've been facing in the past few months will have a toll on the mindset of the voters and their decision making, and they're choosing which party they want to vote for. But that being said, our emphasis of the PDM government has always been that don't look at just the performance or the inflation, because that was onset or set in motion by the previous PTI-led government. And also, the credit which you should give us is that a default, the country was going to default, and we averted from that, we deviated from that, we avoided that. And had that happened, the inflation would have skyrocketed. It would be like quadruple what it is right now. There would be no oil, there would be no fuel, people would be out on the streets like Sri Lanka, etc., etc. But none of that happened. The government also had a key role to play where we got off the FATF list, because you're talking about the economy, so I want to mention that also. From the grey list, we have been removed. Now we are not on the FATF watch list, which is another plus point. The stock market is at its highest in the past 2 years. And so we can see that in the middle, I would agree that the voters and the general sentiment was against the...
Let me interject here. If you had more time, if your government had more time, perhaps, those indicators which you are talking about are, indicators of we being on the right path. But for them to trickle down, of course, unfortunately, there seems to be little time. And that
Yeah,
those
yeah,
are, yes.
no, I do agree with you. And in a nutshell, I do feel that it will affect the voters and how things may end up, because I can see the public right now is not the most comfortable, and they're facing, I think the common man hasn't gotten relief as yet, although this government had to take some really tough decisions. But as you said, that will take time for it to bear fruit. So as for now, the general sentiment, I do agree it would be challenging for all the parties in the government.
Let me come back to Ali. The same thing to Qaiser Saab. Qaiser Saab, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Qaiser Saab, how will you navigate this? How will you navigate this challenging situation where, of course, on the one hand, people understand, but they're also facing, they're feeling the pinch, so to speak.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Mahrukh, you have rightly said it is a challenging situation, and also it's a very difficult and uphill task. People are facing problems. Inflation is not being curtailed, and you see day by day there are common man is facing difficulties. They are not in a position to pay their electric bill, and also other facilities they are not availing. But meanwhile, Ali Rashid rightly said that people are realizing the situation. It was a difficult situation, and you see it has mainly been created by the PTI government, and even previous governments. You see, it's not a few years matter. The problem is being sustained since many decades. We have been getting more and more loans, and then we are not in a position to pay the installments. Also, we are not in a position to pay heavy markup and financial implications are difficult. So the thing is that we have to manage better. We can divert our matters, which we have already diverted in this budget. We have previously more and more facilities were given only to the few opportunist class which were availing lot of benefits. And now recently in this budget, and even in the last 16 months, we have diverted main investment on the side of the people. It should be in the benefit of the people, and we feel that people should get more development in their matters, like IT, like export of the products, some new items apart from the traditional exports. We have also given more attention to the SMEs. That more loans should be given. You see, IMF have been rightly emphasizing that we should have better trade deficit. We should have less import and more export. And then two deficits, that the fiscal deficit and
at this stage to talk about policy or to talk about changes in the policy, like I was saying to Ali also, there seems to be little time now. As far as for now, of course, it's about navigating. I want to come to the former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif Saab. How, of course, it is very much his party, his vote bank. Do you expect him to return soon?
We very much expect that he's a natural leader. He has been he's knowing about the pulse of the people, and now you see we feel that he should come back, and he should navigate, and he should give the lead to the party. And there's a much difference to that. But meanwhile, I must mention that the present scenario of having collaboration between the armed forces and between the management of Prime Minister and his team, we have done our best. We are trying to have a better because previously there was more political turmoil. So when we were having infighting between us, and there was no charter of economy which was being emphasized by even when we were in the opposition. You see, that was the direction. I feel that the arrival of Mia Nawaz Sharif would add to that direction, because you must have realized that in 2016-17, Pakistan economy was much better, and the leadership has diverted our economy to the, and we were at that time 24th economy of the world, and we were aiming to be among
again the confidence in the PML-N's economic policies, you know, and the fact that, like I said, you know, we are, I think, by and large in the right direction, but for those things to bear fruit, certainly, I think where the problem is that there's less time, and I think you would agree with that.
Yes, I fully agree with it. It's less time. We did not have enough time to make amends of the problems our country was facing. But still, you see, we are a resilient country. Our people are resilient, and we have come back from these turmoils on a number of previous occasions. So I feel that if our direction is towards full attention of the growth of economy, and we should have, of course, we should have charter of economy. We should have a more concentration on our agriculture side, to IT development, to export-led growth, to attract more and more direct foreign investment. We should have.
Gee, on that note, I'll come back to you. I'm going to go to Safiullah. Gee, Safiullah, overall, as far as the consultative process is concerned, certainly, you know, economic policies, what Qaiser is saying, you know, as far as even an economic charter, by and large, the only party at this time sitting out of this, a large party, is the PTI. In that kind of a scenario, there seems to be by and large agreement between all other parties in which direction we're headed. So that's it, I think, perhaps a step in the right direction.
Absolutely, I think that's tremendously positive. But at the same time, like you said, extremely concerning as well, because PTI is a large party. It does, at the very least, get a lot of media attention. And a lot of Pakistanis are interested in what the PTI has to say. And at the same time, as you mentioned, PTI's trajectory seems to be entirely in a different direction. They are, every single day, what we see coming from PTI are attacks on institutions of Pakistan, attacks on these political parties, of course, which are by and large there, but now attacks on institutions, attacks on the judiciary, attacks on the military, attacks on the bureaucracy. And these are very divisive attacks. And the fact that the government in some manner has to retaliate on these attacks causes further uproar, further problems within the country. And as we are heading towards elections, why this is very important and why this is something that really concerns me a lot is the fact that if the country is so polarized, can we have free, fair, transparent and peaceful elections? You know, there was the PTI had elections in Karachi. They lost to People's Party, and 8 people were killed in just one local elections. 8 deaths. General elections, and with a party that has now just decided that it does not want to canvass, it does not want to campaign, it just wants to bully and it wants to blame everybody else. So I simply do not expect that they would give any respect to the returning officers. I do not expect that they would have any respect for the polling agents. I do not expect that they would have any respect for the law enforcement authorities. And this is what really bothers me, that one major political party has this agenda. On top of that, we have the security situation in KPK with the Taliban, TTP crossing borders and attacking, recently some attacks in Balochistan. I think this is going to be the most difficult general elections Pakistan has ever seen. And I say this having served as a polling agent myself in the past. I don't think I would want to this time around.
I think that's a question for Ali now. Ali, you know, we saw what happened in Karachi, what Safiullah is also saying. Do you expect there to be, is it a cause for concern? Of course, we are, you know, it's a large political party, them sitting out, and of course the kind of inflammatory content that does come out. Are you concerned about, you know, the peacefulness in the next general elections, and of course the way that they will be conducted, and if they can be conducted in a peaceful manner overall?
Dekhiye, I feel that that can be done, and all precautions should be taken. And I think all the parties, all the institutions, election commission, I think everybody right now is on the same page. I can see that everybody is on the same page, and everybody wants elections to happen, and they want them to happen timely. They want them to happen without any issues. But look, at the same time, I would like to say that I think people, just the general public and political parties and institutions, everybody has become a bit the they've become very used to PTI and the way they portray things. So I feel that PTI will try to create some problems. When they lose, they will again start the blame game, and they'll start crying again. But I feel that the more the chairman of PTI is doing it over a period of time, people are just understanding now. Like the person I think who's present in your studio also says, I don't usually listen to his speeches, but since he was about to say something new, I logged in. But then I realized the same thing he's been saying over and over again for the past few years. Similarly, the sentiments of the general public is also the same, because he calls out the institutions, he calls out different political parties with zero evidence, and over a period of time he has been labeled, and he's been proven to be a person who's lied about a lot of things, who's misled the public about a lot of things. So I feel there's a general, I won't say hatred, but a general awareness about that he should not be taken seriously. So I am hopeful that when elections do happen, they will happen in a timely manner, they will happen in a peaceful manner.
We've agreed that there is generally, there are challenges, economic challenges for the PDM as a whole. Of course, overall, we've also had the PML-N, and I think the PPP also talk about, they don't agree with banning any political party. But are you afraid that your loss, as part of the PDM, can be their gain, perhaps?
No. To be honest with you, we've had a few by-elections in the recent past. At least I'll speak for my party. I can't be a spokesperson for other parties in the PDM, but I'll speak for People's Party. There were a few by-elections happening in Pakistan when Imran Khan was contesting from. So I think there were only 2 seats which where PTI lost, and both those seats were being contested by People's Party. One was in Malir, the MNA election, and the other one was in Multan. Both these seats, the PTI in the National Assembly election, the by-election, lost to People's Party. Prior to that, there was another seat in Karachi, Baldia town, which was Faisal Wavda's seat, which he had 8. That also PTI lost to People's Party. Then there were in Karachi and all over Sindh, we clean swept, and particularly in Karachi, PTI used to have the biggest mandate, because they had I think 14 MNAs, etc. So in the local body elections, we clean swept, and number 1 was People's Party, number 2 was Jamaat-e-Islami, and number 3 was PTI. So I feel that the public awareness is coming. They're realizing this guy was misleading us, and there's a lot of misinformation going on, and they were just getting sick of the bickering. They wanted a progressive party or a progressive group of politicians and leaders to come and to get us out of this mess, as opposed to a person who just keeps repeating the same thing and spreading negativity and doing nothing. So I'm very optimistic about the elections.
Okay, but I want to come back and talk about the fact how there's not going to be any seat adjustment. So what do you expect as far as the South is concerned? Let me go to Qaiser Ahmad. Your party at this time, as far as the PML-N is concerned, the procedure, of course, as far as consultation is concerned, at this time it seems to be a fairly easy one, because it's Raja Riaz Saab is the other person, the opposition leader. So do you expect it to be fairly smooth? You don't expect any challenges there? You think it's going to be, but at the same time it is still a lot of parties, there's no denying that. So there has to be across the board agreement, and these committees of course are a great step in the right direction. Do you think they're going to be able to yield the kind of results that you're hoping for?
You see, this is a very important question. Of course, leader of opposition has his own point of view, our PDM group has our own point of view. A difference of opinion is there, but it's not confrontation. What I feel that turmoil, political turmoil, which was in the last tenure, we tried our level best to sit with the government and to sort out some matters which were important, like COVID. It was very important for the health of the people. We wanted to have some consensus on that. Even when Indian Air Force, there was attack on Pakistani border, we still, even at that time, it was a crucial time, and we wanted to have some consensus. But the problem was that the government never wanted to do it. So never wanted to have any agreement or to sit in any meeting. So this will be a different situation. Raja Riaz is a political person. Is a very sensible person. I know him since long, and he comes from the same division, contested elections from the Faisalabad, which is very near to my constituency, Chennot. I know that there will be some logical difference of opinion, but I feel that things will be sorted out amicably, and then there should be elections which should be fair, and it should. And what you questioned to Mr. Ali Rashid, I feel that of course the PTI should be allowed to contest election, but I feel the people are more important. People now know the situation. They are coming to know more about the truth, what happened in that 3.5 years of the government.
Prime Minister has earlier made statements like, it doesn't matter who he feels as his candidates. Do you think they still stand? And how important and how integral is the phenomena of the electables and the politics of the day, of the election day to the kind of seats that then invariably come as far as different political parties are concerned?
The electable are always important. What do you mean? What we mean from the electable is those people who are more popular in their area. You see, the politician in this parliamentary system, of course, party is important, but the individual who is contesting the election is always important. You see, he is the person who is close to the people, who goes to their whatever opinion is of the people of that constituency in their difficult time, in their comfort time. So he's very close to, and he resolves the matter, whatever problems arise day to day. So the personality and the electables who are very close to the people are always important, and they have been being elected since long, and they are serving the people. So you see, as you know, since last 30 years, I am contesting elections. I contested 6 elections. Now it will be I'll be contesting 7th election in the row. So I will always go to the people, and I am in touch with so the parties, of course, there is a vote bank of the parties, but individuals who are called electable, it is not that only party gets the vote. And this is the misconception on the media in particular. You see, in Punjab, we have seen almost the same candidates repeatedly are elected. So it is not so easy that even the parties are giving the same candidates their candidates.
Before I go to Safiullah here, as far as the slogan of your next elections, it seems that you finalized as Wazir-e-Azam Nawaz Sharif. Is it now clear that if the PML-N is to get the requisite seats, the former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif will be the next Prime Minister for the party, the candidate for the party?
Very clear. There is no difference of opinion in our party. Nawaz Sharif is a leader of the party. It is his party, and we all wish and desire, and we will we want to elect Mia Saab as a Prime Minister. You see, of course, there is the people who are elected. Of course, there is a consensus among those elected people who are getting elected on the platform of the party. But Mia Nawaz Sharif, you see, he's the founder of the party. He's the leader. So almost all of our party members, they desire that he should come back, because there had been some, you see, some problems for him in the last tenure, and we feel it was misfortunate, and that should be sorted out. And that therefore, if Mia Sahab come back, it will give boost to our party in elections.
Fair enough. Let me come back to you. Safiullah, right now, like I said, there's an amalgam of different political parties, but by and large, there's agreement on the economy and the road to the revival of economy. The next election also seemed to be on the lines that, there are different parties and they will be contesting, and if we see it as an amalgamation of different political parties again, do you feel that it's perhaps better because there will be a long-term policy agreement on economy, for example, and perhaps even issues like judicial reform? So
it's a great question, and I think everybody is very concerned about this exact question at the moment. This is the reason why the IMF paid visits to every major political party in Pakistan, so as to apprise them of what has been happening, what the goals of IMF are, and to try and align all the political parties on the kind of reform changes that IMF expects in the future. In the same vein, China is our partner. China, starting Monday, is going to be holding a conference in which they are celebrating 10 years of the Belt and Road Initiative. They have invited some major party leaders, and once again they also wish to sort of at least try and educate the politicians on the kind of long-term relationship that Pakistan and China have had, the kind of investments that China has made. And we are seeing that other governments around the world, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, are all reaching out to different organizations, different political parties, trying to just establish some sense of continuity. Because that's the real problem that Pakistan has. The fact that right now we have just mentioned that we've had an IMF loan, stock market is soaring, everything is going great, but we also know at the same time that Pakistan is not getting any investments. These are just foreign loans. No companies investing in Pakistan. The reason why they're not investing is because they're scared that the economic plan might not continue. If at a time and age when all stats show that Pakistan economy is rising, why aren't investors investing? It's simple, because they're afraid of the elections. And so you're absolutely correct that these elections need to also somehow guarantee that if not entirely, at least a modicum of the economic policy continues forward. I would echo something here. When the chief of IMF, Christina Lagarde, met Shehbaz Sharif, and there was a conversation on why the loan took so long, she clearly stated it's because the previous PTI government reneged on its promises, and they don't know if the same would happen again. And this is our history. This is what we have done. We have done so with Recodec, with TAPI, with IP gas pipeline, countless projects. We have just decided that the government has changed, we're not going to continue them. With CPEC in the PTI government, the worst of all case, where suddenly the project stopped because the PTI government said that this was a contract signed by the previous government. It's a corrupt contract. We don't believe in it. And so this is a major concern that needs to be addressed. I hope that there are institutions in place that would still be guaranteeing institutions, that include our security institutions and that include our judiciary. And I hope that they play an active part in ensuring that at least the knowledge is passed on to the politicians and they understand that Pakistan is in a state of dire insecurity, and it's an economic insecurity that then impacts national security as a result.
Let me go to Ali. Ali, overall, as far as your party is concerned, for example, now that there's no seat adjustment, each party is going to be contesting. What kind of a scenario do you envisage as far as, for example, the south of Punjab is concerned?
Overall, I think PPP is in a very good place, and I think even if you ask a common man off the street, they will tell you that it seems very likely that PPP might form the next government, and we see, Chairman Bilawal as the next PM, and that's because we've done some really good work. I mean, just recently, there were some really bad floods in Sindh, interior Sindh, with the UN and everybody was talking about. So we've actually given 50,000 houses we've allocated and we've given the titles to people who are affected by the floods, the flood affectees. There are transport which has never been in Karachi. There's been transport on the roads. You'll see in Balochistan, majority of the heavyweights and electables have actually shifted towards PPP. Similarly, South Punjab, we're doing really well. Sindh, we've finished all the opposition. There's no more GDA. There is no more functional league, Pagada league. Everybody has shifted towards People's Party. In Karachi, we've made some really good inroads. There are 21 seats of MNAs in Karachi. If not a lot, I'll guarantee you this much that we will take majority of them. KP, some heavyweights have joined us from there also, and a lot of people are looking towards PPP. So I feel overall, not just in South Punjab, but all over Pakistan, PPP is in a very good position to come forward and form the next government, inshallah.
Fair enough. Let me go to Qaiser. Qaiser, as far as this the situation is concerned, economy is concerned, the tough decisions that you are making, the fact that the former Prime Minister again is just sitting back and, like Safiullah was saying, tweeting about decisions that perhaps they are themselves responsible. He is himself responsible for, but for him to pass the buck, so to speak, seems very easy at this time. And of course, your party and the PDM being at the forefront of it all. Do you expect there to be, considerable, as far as your party is concerned, as your manifesto is concerned, as far as elections overall and the electoral campaign is concerned, to deal with that issue also?
Yes, of course, it is very important that in our election we should give our manifesto, we should talk about our future planning. But our previous performance is always there. Whenever there has been PML-N in power, there was a growth in the economy, and people were getting jobs and good positions. So you see, PML-N is not.
But there are statements now from your party and your itself, as far as the return of the former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif Saab is concerned, that there perhaps he's going to be waiting for certain changes to be made in the judicial setup to return. Are they true? Can you confirm or deny if that is true?
No, I cannot neither confirm nor deny. You see. But this is the change is going to be to happen in the mid of September, and that's a routine change. Automatically, that when the leadership in any institution changes, there are some changes are involved in that. So that is of course there. But you see, Nawaz Sharif is expected to come to Pakistan. Anytime he can come, and if those changes are there, that will happen. But I feel that this is not the.
But you're saying that the two have no bearing on each other at all.
I don't feel that this is the main reason. I feel that has to be that change has to happen, and you see the next elections are due. Almost incidentally on the same dates. In September, there's a change in Chief Justice, and then their elections are to be held in October or November. But you see, what is important that the election should be fair, and it should be seen to be held as a free and fair.
Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for this segment. Thank you so much for being with us. Qaiser Ahmad Sheikh Saab, Ali Rashid, thank you for joining us. I want to take a little bit to talk about what's happened in Copenhagen as far as burning of the Quran is concerned. We have with us Qibla Ayaz, Chairman Council of Islamic Ideology with us. Qibla Saab, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sir, of course, this is a second incident of this kind to happen. We have, of course, voiced our condemnation and our concern over what's happened. There is, overall concern now, at an alarming degree of what's happening and why it's happening. What are your overall assessment? What is your overall assessment of the situation after?
Yeah, a very good question indeed. Well, it's true that in the recent years, sorry, in the recent years, there is this growing trend of Islamophobia in some parts of Europe, including Denmark and Sweden. And these events which have taken place recently is a continuation of the Islamophobic manifestation that is taking place. And the present Islamophobia is rooted in the economic setup which is emerging now. There is this right-wing political parties who are harping on this slogan that these Muslims are coming in great number and they will take over the jobs, the market, and the economic situation of the people, local people will worsen. So this sort of impression is being transformed into narrative. So these events are taking place because of growing Islamophobia.
That we can, if other than registering our concern, our alarm over what's happened, are you going to, do you think that the Danish government is responsible for not perhaps, coming hard on what's happening, of allowing it to happen?
Yes, within the European situation, there are some values which, if they resort to, they can stop such events, like, for example, spreading hatred, hate speech. These sort of things are not allowed in European society. So I think it was high time that Swedish government should have taken action based on spreading hatred among people against those who are residents of the same country, residents of Sweden.
The kind of concern for other religions, for Islam to be accorded even the same respect as we see, for it not to be allowed for other religions, we saw that recently also, is something that is particularly concerning, and it is alarming for all the Muslim Ummah all over the world.
Yes, there is this trend of humanism, that they believe in humanism. They do not respect any religion, including Christianity or any other religion. But particularly since there is this xenophobic trends as well, like hatred against aliens. So Muslims are immigrating in great number, and that is why they have diverted their anger against the Muslims.
Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much for joining us, Qibla Ayaz. Thank you for being with us. Barrister Safiullah, Ghauri, thank you for being with us today. Overall, of course, one cannot condemn what's happened in Sweden enough. As a Muslim, all over the world, the sentiments of all Muslims have been hurt, and repeatedly so. We, of course, condemn it on all levels, and we hope that there will be action against those responsible, and that there will be constructive action from the Swedish government also. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.